What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another competitive analysis, this time taking a look at a Pokemon called Tsareena, which is a new Pokemon introduced in Generation 7 that's pretty interesting and hasn't seen a ton of competitive play, but definitely has some niche roles that it can fill. So, let's just jump right into it. Basically, Tsareena, first of all, what do you need to know about it? 100% of the time it's going to be female. Don't know why. Its typing is pure grass, which is kind of I think grass is like not a bad typing in this metagame at all. It's kind of like, in my opinion, middle of the spectrum in terms of defense and offense. Like, it doesn't hit steel, it doesn't hit fire, but the fact is that water types are pretty common at the moment, and there's some ground types as well, and it hits 3 of the 4 Tapus for, well, half of the Tapus for neutral and 1 of the Tapus for super effective, while resisting both Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu, so it's not bad in that regard. It does have to watch out for like Marowak, or Pokemon like Marowak and Pokemon like Celesteela, which definitely are bad versus, or good versus grass types in general, excuse me, but yes. In general, grass is a pretty good type in the metagame, in my opinion. And other things about Tsareena. So, it's got 2 really good abilities, in my opinion. Leaf Guard, not that good, but Queenly Majesty serves as kind of like a Psychic Terrain when it's on the field. It basically means that Tsareena and its partner cannot be hit with priority moves, which is like pretty nice. And the other ability, Sweet Veil, prevents Tsareena and its allies from falling asleep. So, in general, for this guide, I'm going to be talking about Queenly Majesty because I think it has more utility in general. But if your team is weak against like Smeargle with Spore and then like Setup, then I think you could definitely consider Sweet Veil as an option. But for the most part, I think Queenly Majesty is the better ability, at least in my opinion. So yes, in terms of move pool, it gets a cool move called Trop Kick. Where is it? Trop Kick. Which, it's a 70 base power grass type move, but it always lowers the target's attack stat, which means that Tsareena can play a really interesting role where it can basically disincentivize your opponent to switch and physical attackers against it, which could be very good. For example, Marowak is a really strong physical attacker that normally loves to switch into grass type moves, but it does have to consider the fact that if it switches into a Trop Kick, it will have its attack lowered. So, other things, Tsareena is one of the few, where is it? One of the few faint users in the format. It also gets, it unfortunately doesn't get Leech Seed. That would have been really good on these sets, but yeah, it doesn't get it. And then there's I would say pretty moderate, like average stats across the board. Decent defenses and a decent HP and a decent attack, but low special attack. And for this metagame, it's honestly a decent speed. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with this thing. So let's just jump into it. I ran a lot of calcs because I wasn't super sure how to use Tsareena, so I wanted to make sure that I ran enough calcs to make sure my spread was good. So this is the first set. This is kind of like your bulky physical attacker. The goal is kind of to abuse the fact that grass is a pretty good typing in the metagame, and allows Tsareena to kind of hang out, launch some attacks, stick around for a while, provide support with Queenly Majesty and Feint and Trop Kick as well, and just be bulky. So this is more of your offensively minded set. So the item is Citrus Berry because on most bulky attackers, I think Citrus Berry is very good. As you can see, the moves are Protect to protect itself, Trop Kick as its primary stab, Feint because Tsareena, unlike Tapu Lele, will it doesn't prevent priority moves on the whole field. It just prevents it on itself. So I think Feint is a really cool move to use on Tsareena. And then lastly, you can mess around with a status move here. I actually originally had Aromatherapy on this set, but then I decided Play Rough would be better because of like Garchomp and Salamence and stuff. So this last slot is up for grabs, but I think Play Rough is good on this one. You can experiment with some of the support moves on other sets. So yeah, Feint and Play Rough could both be changed if you were interested, but yes. In terms of EV, so 252 HP and then these stats just to do this stuff, so I'll show you. So basically, first thing I calced was, excuse me, Wow. Okay. This is if Marowak switches in and you hit it with the Trop Kick and you're like, oh, that didn't go very well. You can hit it with another Trop Kick if you need to and lower its attack to -2 and then always level Flare Blitz. So that's not super, that's a very situational, I recognize, but I think it's worth noting. I have more relevant calcs here. So next up we have Trop Kick versus Tapu Koko. In order to, let's say Tapu Koko has a Life Orb and takes Life Orb damage. In order to 2 KO Tapu Koko after 1 turn of Life Orb, you need to do at least 66% or 66 stat twice. So if you do 69, you can do 63. Like you need to average in 2 hits 132 basically, because it'll take 14 from Life Orb. So this most of the time, Trop Kick will 2 KO Tapu Koko after a Life Orb. Turn a Life Orb recoil, and that could be good. For example, if you have like Tsareena on a Trick Room team where like you attack it once, it attacks once, and then Trick Room goes up. Now you can be pretty confident that Trop Kick will KO. And in return, you can see, I don't even have the defensive EVs in here, but yeah, it's not going to do a lot in return. I was just curious about Play Rough versus Garchomp. So as you can see, it actually 2-hit KOs, which is pretty good because it's not Stab, because Tsareena is not Fairy type. So The fact that it's 2-hit KO is in my opinion not bad at all. And Poison Jab, as you can see, is not going to 2-hit KO without a poison. Dragon Claw similarly not doing a lot. Earthquake not doing a lot. Yes. So I think that's pretty convincing. 53 to 63% just from a play rough is pretty nice. I didn't calc Salamence, but yeah. And then we have Chop Kick versus like very bulky Gastrodon. So you can see that even though Tsareena is not the strongest Pokemon, it still is going to do a lot of damage with Chop Kick, especially the things that are weak to it. Well, actually, primarily the things that are weak to it. It's not going to do that much otherwise. But a Pokemon like Gastrodon, which is pretty bulky, will get KO'd by Chop Kick, which is good because whenever you have a bulky Pokemon like this, I'm always worried, you know, especially if you don't invest a ton in the offensive stats. I'm always like, is this going to work or is this not going to KO? So I think it's good to know that versus most Gastrodon, this is max HP 170 defense bold, which I don't think anyone's going more than. Drop Kick will KO. So I think that's pretty good. And then this is Flamethrower from Salamence. I can plug it in really quick. Sorry, guys. I wouldn't know how much Flamethrower did, but that's not right. I want 76, Adamant, Play Rough. And this is, unfortunately, thanks to Intimidate, this should be like 40 maybe. Yeah. So this is a chance to do a KO. It's obviously not the best. But, what's also nice is that versus Pokemon like Tapu Koko, say you don't 2-hit KO, but they're like very close, you have Feint. So you can always just pick up that KO with Feint. So this is a similar situation where you can do a lot with Play Rough. And as you can see, Z Draco does not KO Tsareena, and Flamethrower does not 2-hit KO most of the time. Like, most of the time it'll 3-hit KO, unless they get the minimum roll, and then, or one of the 2 minimum rolls, and then they get like a higher roll. So yeah, that's that. And then lastly for the set, I just wanted to see how much -1 Heavy Slam did to Tsareena, because Tsareena can't get leech seeded. So if Celesteela switches into Drop Kick and you hit it with the Drop Kick, it's not going to do that much damage. Like, it will do a bit, but if they especially if they switch in, you could actually get them down to -2 reasonably, and you know that's not a ton of damage. And like mitigating Celesteela's damage output, I think can be very helpful. So obviously Tsareena not the best Pokemon to have in versus Celesteela, but at least it can kind of weaken it a bit. In my opinion, that's pretty good. So yeah, that's that. Next set, it gets access to both screens, so I thought that maybe a Reflect Light Screen Drop Kick set could be good. This set obviously focuses more on the defensive aspects of the Pokemon, trying to maximize its overall bulk and allow it to stick around and be annoying and support the team with Queenly Majesty and screens and Drop Kick. So yes, in terms of this, I ran some calcs. This is -1 Marowak, Flare Blitz, and Reflect. So if you Reflect or if you Drop Kick and then they switch in, then you can do the other move, and then they won't KO with their Flare Blitz. So that's pretty good. Obviously, if you have Rain or something, this becomes a lot better. You can see -1 Shadow Bone does just about 0 damage, 27.3, which is pretty funny. Yes, and obviously that's like 2 turns of setup, but I don't think it's that hard to set up Tsareena because not much Kinoko it. Except for a very strong Pokemon like Marowak, and I'm sure obviously it doesn't want to fight Torkoal or anything, but for the most part, it shouldn't be that hard to set a screen up. And then for the defensive calc, this is the reason I have these special defense. The way that I made this EV spread is I EV'd this first, and then I just put the rest in defense. So let's make sure that's correct. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so basically Psychic from Tapu Lele and Psychic Terrain is not going to 2-hit KO. If you get them out of Psychic Terrain, it's not going to 3-hit KO either. So that's pretty good in my opinion. And then this is -1 Celesteela and Reflect. So similar to the calc that we had before, it's not going to do damage. It's going to do like very, very, very little, which is really nice in my opinion. To have a Pokemon that doesn't take damage from Celesteela, even though it can't do much in return. So this is kind of like, this is a Pokemon that you could ignore Celesteela with if you Intimidate it and get Reflect up. So that's that. And then I was just curious to see how much Bulu Woodhammer did in Reflect. So this is not Intimidated, this isn't Reflect. If you want to see the Intimidated calc, that's that. And you can see Hornleech is not going to do anything, especially considering Tapu Bulu will give Tsareena recovery. So yeah, and considering Drop Kick, like yeah, so Tsareena is really good versus Tapu Bulu in my opinion, especially the set like in particular. So that's that. And then lastly, we have this Assault Vest set. This is again trying to take advantage of the fact that Tsareena can be a bulky attacker. It does have some support moves I haven't touched on. It gets Aromatic Mist, Aromatherapy, and Acupressure. Acupressure probably being the least consistent of those moves, but there are other support moves you can experiment with. But I think in general, to maximize Tsareena's usefulness, I think you want some attacks on it, unless you want to play heavy support like this. But yeah, that's that. So this set idea is the special defense is the exact same as it was before, to make sure that it can be 3-hit KO'd by Tapu Lele Psychic and Psychic Terrain, and then the rest just went into attack because you need a lot in order to to do this. So this is 98% chance to 2-hit KO my Porygon 2. So my Porygon 2 didn't have as much defense as some people's will have, but being able to 2-hit KO at least some Porygon 2 with High Jump Kick is pretty good, especially considering they can't protect. I didn't really see a different attacking move I wanted on that slot instead of high jump kick. So there are other options, of course, but I liked high jump kick just to be able to damage Porygon too and threaten it. So yeah, that's that. This is Trop Kick versus Lele. So as you can see, this is no bulk Lele. So this is like obviously most Lele, some Lele will probably have more bulk than this, but you can see it still does 50 to 60% to a KO on Tapu Lele, and it can't do a KO in return. So yeah, I think that's something. Obviously versus Max HP Lele or defensive Lele, it's not going to do that much, but yes, that's that. And then lastly, we just have this is just versus Tapu Koko, and I want to show you guys how little Tapu Koko did versus Assault Vest. Yeah, Assault Vest Tsareena. You can see Thunderbolt is a 5-hit KO. Dazzling Gleam is also like a possible 5-hit KO, probable 5-hit KO. And in return, Trop Kick's gonna do. You can see now the minimum attack or minimum damage here is 66%, so you'll always 2-hit KO after return of Life Orb recoil. And you can also do Trop Kick Feint as well. Let's just see if Feint does 10%. It probably won't, but oh, okay. So yeah, Trop Kick Feint always KOs Tapu Koko. Even if you get minimum roll, you can always 2-hit KO Tapu Koko. Or I guess 3 KO with Feint. But yes, in terms of partners for Tsareena, I really like Tapu Koko because Tsareena I like Tsareena because its ability is a built-in. It's like partially a built-in Tapu Lele ability, so I think you can pair it. I think the ability to pair it with another Tapu and stop priority is really nice. So I like Tapu Koko. This is a set from my metagame update video. You guys can check that out if you want. I have some other sets in there. This is the Life Orb Tapu Koko that's pretty common, that's been going around. So I really like Tsareena Tapu Koko. I think they're pretty good offensively together. I like Feint plus Tapu Koko. I think it's pretty solid. These two really have to watch out for Marowak. These two as well, actually. So Arcanine is the next one. I just like kind of like, if you want to go a bulkier route with Tsareena, I kind of like Arcanine because it's so bulky and can offer really good support with Tsareena. So also fire typing is nice because Tsareena is weak just to fire. Arcanine being weak to rock and ground and water. Grass is super effective on all of those. So yeah, Tsareena being weak to, or like not being able to touch Celesteela, Arcanine super effective on that. Same with Tapu Koko can hit Celesteela, so that's kind of why I like the synergy. Again, though, these two have to really watch out for Marowak. So the last thing I recommend is Politoed. It helps a lot versus Torkoal, and it also helps a lot versus Marowak. So Politoed also benefits a lot from Trop Kick because Politoed's physical defense is relatively low. So the ability to bolster that with Trop Kick is really, really, really nice. Yeah, these are just the moves that I personally ran. I think Ice Beam might honestly be better. Somewhere on this set, and maybe I don't know. Yeah, probably just Ice Beam over something like somewhere could be really good. But yes, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you appreciated / enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please make sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. Let me know what Pokemon you want me to cover next in the comments down below. Again, I'm totally out of ideas, so I will be reading the comments, and if I see anything I like and I want to cover, I will do that one next. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.